Hello everyone, odedex here, welcome to episode 142 of my S02 Let's Play. So in the previous episode, I explored the problem, I figured out the problem which I had with my Minecraft Joules creation system, which I had for quite some time. I didn't realize why I kept spending so much Minecraft Joules and barely managing to store any of it. And I finally realized that the problem was actually the heaters and the fans of my special elevators right here were consuming so much energy. So for the time being I turned them off, and also in the meantime I started inoculating temperature tolerance and humidity tolerance to all those bees that still require them. So while this is running, I'm going to get started with what I want to do and eventually also reinsert them back into circulation, but only once they're fully tolerant to humidity and temperature. And this card is finally finished. My reinforced hull with a coal engine, a Galgaldorian drill, a railer, bridge builder, side chests, top chests, height control, liquid sensors, divine shield, and a chunk loader. Now that's a mouthful. Okay, so I'm not gonna mine inside my in my farm here. I'm just gonna place it on those tracks so you can see the way it looks, and it shouldn't be powered. Yeah, it doesn't have any fuel, so it cannot be powered even if it wants to. But this is the way it looks. It looks kind of scary. You can see this is the height controller. It's kind of an awesome tool. I'll get to it whenever I'm going to actually start mining, but you can see how convenient that is. You can basically tell your cart to go to a specific height, and you actually get kind of feedback on which type of material you can expect to find in that height. Now, obviously, I can recognize some colors, such as this being, I guess, emerald, and this is gold, and this is lapis. I assume this is iron. It doesn't contain all the information regarding mod ores, or at least not all of them, I think. Definitely, this is diamond. This is probably redstone. So basically, you can tell your cart at which height to go to, and it can start working there. It's actually extremely useful, and I'm gonna definitely start using it, but not quite there yet. I still want to complete a project which I wanted to start in the previous episode and didn't get enough time to, so I'm gonna do it now, which is actually quite necessary to what I want to do with the card, so it doesn't actually matter, but I need to do this anyway. And that is to create an autocrafting system for Tesseracts, any type of Tesseracts, specifically item Tesseracts, but basically any type of Tesseracts. Lately I've been using them quite a lot, and since I've got a nice supply of ender pearls at the moment, this is actually a very easy thing to do. Okay, so Tesseracts can be created, all of them are created pretty much the same. You got energy, liquid, and item. They're all created with the same unattuned Tesseract. Each one of them is created slightly differently after that, with silver and tin, or copper, silver and tin, or electrum ingots. So it's slight variations, but overall they're all created with the unattuned Tesseract. That one is created by placing 4 ender pearls, which create basically an ender bucket, liquid bucket, and in a magmatic crucible. This one, magma crucible, you basically dump 4 ender pearls and create this thing, which is then Tesseract frame, which is then created using tin, diamond, and hardened glass. Anyway, this step pretty much contains the creation of Tesseracts contains many steps and 3 different machines. Now, as always, I really like having kind of a sample of each machine available to me everywhere, so I'm going to create each one of those machines, an extra one. So I'm going to need an induction smelter, because that's the way you get this thing, the hardened glass. I don't think there is any other method to get it. Yep, you kind of need to have it. And on top of that, you actually also need to pulverize dust. I think, can you also macerate obsidian? Does it function the same way? If so, it actually will be easier. Let's see, can I macerate obsidian? No, the only way is pretty much to pulverize it. So Industrial Craft won't help me here. I'm going to need to use a separate pulverizer as well. So 4 extra machines actually to create the obsidian dust, and then dump it into an induction smelter with lead ingot, and that's pretty much the way to go. How do you get obsidian dust? There isn't a recipe actually, so I guess something that I'm missing. Okay, so let's get started. As always, we're gonna do each step going forward, so one step at a time. Split the big problems into many little problems, and that's pretty much the way to go. So let's just begin by creating an item in each one of those machines. So I'm going to do one more magma crucible, one liquid transposer, one pulverizer, and one induction smelter. I may have some of them already existing. I already have a pulverizer apparently. I already have a liquid transposer as well. So what I'm going to need is an induction smelter and a magma crucible, and I'm gonna go and do that off screen. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got 4 of those machines going. Now I also would like to I think I should let you guys know that I actually also off screen added, since lately I'm using them quite a lot, I finally added the cobblestone jacketed wire recipe to my molecular assembler, which of course required adding covers, panels, and slabs using the handsaw. And I also of course added the electronic circuit and the copper cable, which I pretty much replaced the way I get them, since I'm now moving rubber instead of the actual products. Okay, so let's get started. So first, let's start by getting pulverized obsidian. Pulverized obsidian is simply achieved by, obviously, pulverizing obsidian. And so one obsidian gives me a pulverized obsidian. I don't think using bees is kind of not very reliant. Okay, so one obsidian pulverized gives you a pulverized obsidian. So let's get the things that I'm going to need. I'm going to need some redstone energy conduits. And by the way, in regard to, since I'm doing Tesseracts, I might just also add all the redstone networks as well. But we'll see how that turns out. So I'm gonna need a redstone energy conduit to tap into my Buildcraft energy. I'm going to need a couple of ME stuff such as cables. I'm gonna need some interfaces, probably 4. I'm going to need some relays as well, so 4 of those. And by the way, I'm still creating diamonds. Slowly but surely it goes up. The funny thing is actually, I think since I started burning coal in my generators, it's actually using a lot more coal than the production of diamonds, because since I'm not having enough energy in this macerator, which keeps pulverizing all that coal, it kind of clogs the entire energy network. So this is kind of amusing. Anyway, 4 relays, 4 ME interfaces. I'm gonna need a couple of import buses. 2 probably won't cut it. Let's just get some more. So let's get, let's say 2 more import buses. And I will also need a couple of blank patterns to imprint all those different recipes. So let's get some. 1 won't cut it. Let's get 10 more. Let's get 10 more. Okay, that's pretty much good. And since everything is close by, whenever I need something, I can just come and get it. Okay, so this room is already pretty clogged as it is right now. But since I really like, I like the fact that it is like this is supposed to be the machinery room. I'm gonna still build here. Simply gonna keep extending over here. That will be the easy way for me to do this all. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and extend this a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that seems to be a good enough area. Let's actually tap into the redstone energy conduit, because this is obviously the energy I'm going to start using. So let's connect to it right here. And I'm going to probably, you know what, let's go even 1 block like this, and break this, and go like this. So I have a little bit more room to work with. Or actually, even better, let's make it kind of hidden under the ground. So I have even more room to work with. Whoops. Surprise tunnel. Probably something that I've dug at some point and forgotten about. Most likely. Okay. So that seems like a good idea. Okay, so again, let's start from the basics. So the basic will be interfacing a way to create obsidian, pulverized obsidian. Now, already a couple of episodes ago, I actually created an automatic way to get obsidian, as long as I have less than 4090. Let's keep it 4096, even though I said there is something about the way logically those machines work. Let's keep it like this, so it's all uniform. Whenever I have less than 4096, it will keep creating obsidian. So that's taken care of. So let's start taking care of actually pulverizing that obsidian into obsidian dust, because I'm going to need this for the hardened glass. So this will be my pulverizer. I'm interested in the entry slot and in the output slot, and I think obsidian doesn't have any byproduct when you pulverize it, so I'm not interested in this extra. Yeah, there is no byproduct for pulverizing obsidian, so I don't need for the yellow slot. Let's do it like this. I'm gonna need a relay that will be connected up on top. Actually, let's first set it up that the top is blue slot. Okay. So that's that will be obsidian, and just making sure that relays interact nicely with thermal expansion, although they should. Just want to make sure, yeah, there is no problem. So that's that, and let's say that on the, let's rotate this. You cannot actually use it when it's like this. Let's say that on the left will be the universal port, this one. And that will be the import bus. That will always be on and will move stack at a time. Right here, I'm going to have the ME interface talking with that relay. And I'm going to need to imprint the recipe, which says that give me 1 obsidian and I'll give you back 1 obsidian, 1 pulverized obsidian. I'm going to need to imprint this. So let's do that. So 1 obsidian gives you back 1 pulverized obsidian. And that recipe is a custom one, so it will go in the right place, which is the actual interface and not in the molecular assembler. So right here. So the next step will be creating the glass. So again, if I look at the Tesseract, the recipe requires tin, which is not a problem, diameter, which are a theory, not a problem, and hardened glass. Hardened glass is created like this. You basically take a lead ingot, which is a basic product for me. You take 2 pulverized obsidian and you get back hardened glass. And again, there is no byproduct, so there is nothing to worry about. That's pretty much the only recipe. You can also use pulverized lead for some reason, but I don't really, there is no need for that. Basically, I can also completely ignore getting pulverized obsidian recipe. I can basically remove this and not have it. Simply tell the obsidian to be pushed into the smelter, but I want it to be kept as a part of the line actually. I don't know if there is any other use for pulverized obsidian, but I really would actually prefer it this way. Yeah, you can smelt it into hardened glass. You can roll it into reinforced rail, which is pretty much the only way to get it as well. What do you use reinforced rail for? Priming track, launcher track, reinforced booster track. Okay. Special stuff. Anyway, let's keep it like this. So the induction smelter will be, again, very exactly the same spot. I'm going to rotate it the same way so it kind of faces also that direction over there. First, I'm going to turn off all the input slots. And you know what? Actually, I have a problem. I'm gonna be forced to do that actually. Otherwise, I'm gonna have an issue with the recipes. Yep, I have a problem. Okay, let's get rid of this. This is a slight issue. Actually, it might be a little bit more complicated than that. Let me think about it for a second. Okay, so I don't really know if I'm going to have a problem or not. I'm kind of guessing here, but I think that the fact that thermal expansion have those universal inputs and outputs, I think that will actually be extremely useful for me. And I think I'm going to have to use it. Mainly because this is the first time that I'm going to have a recipe, a special recipe, which takes 2 items and gives you back 1 item. And the difference is because the induction smelter have two input slots, but the special recipes obviously push items from only one place. Now I could use some trickery using red power filters, but let's try without them. Let's see if it actually is smart enough to use the universal input and simply dump things inside it without a need for anything else. So let's see if that works out. You know what, let's actually test it without creating the recipes and everything first, and let's see if that works out properly. I'm going to need the obsidian thingy, which is just dumped in here, and let's actually get some lead. And let's see if that works out. Let's get one more pulverized obsidian as well. Let's take this out of here and get one more pulverized obsidian, or a couple more. Because you see, right here what I've done, so far when I've created this hardened glass, the pulverizer right here kept pushing the pulverized obsidian into here, and I manually inputted lead ingots. Now of course the lead ingots could have come from someplace else, but my point is that I've used two separate input faces. Now let's see if that works as I would expect it to. If I push things into here, okay, that's the problem. That's what I was fearing. I cannot actually do it like this, and it's a slight problem because I need to interface with those two inputs from two separate places, and or actually maybe with like this, maybe it will still work if I place one here and one here. No, it still kind of acts strange. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Okay, let's see how that works now. So lead and this. Okay, perfect. Actually, okay, so there's no problem. There is no problem whatsoever. Even though, let's make sure. Now, this is just nitpicking, but the recipe says that lead should be on the right and pulverized obsidian should be on the left. So let's go the other way around. Let's put lead first, so it will go in the left slot, and pulverized obsidian later. Okay, it still works. That was just minor nitpicking. I just wanted to make sure that this won't be the kind of thing that breaks my recipe. Okay, so eventually there is no problem. I thought there might be, but there isn't. So this will be another interface. The top will be blue, and the left again will be the universal slot, which is the output, and will be interfaced with an import bus. So that's here. Always on, stack at a time. This one will need to print an actual recipe. So again, this will be another custom recipe, which is for every 2 obsidian and 1 lead ingot, you give me hardened glass. I'm just making sure, yeah, I have a nice supply of lead. There is no problem with lead. So for every 2 pulverized obsidian and 1 lead ingot, I'll give you back 2 hardened glass and print that recipe. Quickly make sure, yeah, 2 pulverized obsidian, 1 lead ingot gives you this. So that's the hardened glass part. So let's place the actual recipe in here, and let's also dump this recipe in here. Okay, so that's that. Now I can actually get to creating the Tesseract frame. Now that's a simple crafting recipe. There is nothing too fancy about that. I can simply place this recipe in my molecular assembler, just using some diamonds and some of this hardened glass. I think it goes like this. Might be wrong. Nope, it goes like this. So this is a Tesseract frame. So dump it in here, and I can actually move all the excess hardened glass and pulverized obsidian now into the rest of my system, and dump everything else which I don't need on me, and actually also get one Tesseract frame, so I have something to work with. Okay, so that Tesseract frame has pretty much only one purpose, which is to be filled up with unattuned Tesseract into an unattuned Tesseract within liquid transposer using molten ender. It uses 1 full bucket for that process and a bunch of energy, but that's not what I'm interested in. This is what interests me. So let's first take care of getting the liquid or the molten ender. Now, even though I can do what I did in my originally here, which is push molten ender directly into the liquid transposer, I actually rather not do it this time, and basically simply separate the process into two parts, which is first filling, let's say, cans with the molten ender. I think you can fill up cans. I'm pretty sure you can. Alright, let's do it like this. No. Can you actually fill it with cans? Let's see. Need all the liquid transposer recipes. What can I use to actually move liquid molten ender around? I think I can't actually move it around, you know? Let's check quickly. Obviously you can move all those different things, but molten ender I think you cannot move around actually. Unfortunately. Where is it? A bunch of liquids. Okay. Molten ender. I can directly fill up a Tesseract frame. And apparently that's it. Okay, so there I don't actually have a choice. I cannot separate the process even if I really want to. I fortunately cannot do that. So that will be kind of a little bit complicated process, mainly because if at some point my system resets, I'm going to have the same issue which I had here, which I always have kind of the excess of seeds and everything. Kind of always this amount of excess seeds, which I don't really like, but since I don't have a way around it and much choice, I'm simply going to have to figure out a way to make this work. Okay, so let's again rotate this to the left, so it's all facing the same direction, and disable all the inputs. Actually, I'm going to need a magma crucible first, because this is burning all the molten ender. And let's turn off all the inputs, outputs, whatever. Although this is very simple. Looking to the left, the top one will be the input of ender pearls, and the back port will be the output of molten ender. So there is no real difference whatsoever here. You can actually, you know what, let's rotate this and make it be the left slot instead of the back slot. Okay. And right here I'm going to have the liquid transposer. Let's make it facing this way. So the back port will be the entry of molten ender, which is this. And this will be on filling mode. So this mode, filling mode. And the top will be the item Tesseract. It's pretty much the same. Input the blue color, and let's say the right will be the output. Okay, so that will be the import bus, always on with stack at a time. Right here I'm gonna have okay, this is where it's gonna get a little bit complicated, because the same recipe is going to push both 4 ender pearls and a Tesseract frame and give me one product. This is kind of the same problem that I had here, although this time around I don't think there is a way around it. There is no way whatsoever. The only possible solution would be if ender pearls could not go into, say, the magma crucible. Oh, not magma crucible, the liquid transposer. I'm pretty sure you can place them here, yeah. Since it's a valid inventory space, there is no way around it. I kind of have to find a solution to this, although I have something in mind, which should be actually relatively easy to implement. I will need a filter, 2 filters actually, and I will need some tubes. Actually, it's a lot easier than you might think it's going to be. If you don't understand what the problem is, actually just try to think about it for a second there. The recipe requires burning 4 ender pearls and also placing that Tesseract frame. However, the product is only 1, but I have 2 inputs. And since an ME interface has only 1 input, I cannot separate it into 2 separate to separate interfaces, because what's the product of 4 ender pearls? I mean, what's the recipe? Why would the system request burning 4 ender pearls? You cannot separate this. You cannot make this half. Like, this is why initially I wanted to separate it and use cans, but unfortunately you cannot do that, and this is why I'm pretty much forced to do what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so let's have, okay, let's just put it like this and then rotate them. So 2 filters will look up like this. This filter will accept ender pearls. This filter will accept tesseract frames. And I would like to have one more tesseract frame with me because of it. And both of them will be connected into this pneumatic tube. I'm going to separate this because it's not the same. It's like literally different logically inputs. I'm going to separate this. Good thing I added all my covers to my Planogistics, so it's very convenient. This will look like this, and right here I'm going to have my relay, which will obviously face into the tubes. And right here, the actual interface that will have the recipe, which will be as follows. Now, each ender pearl will give me a quarter of a bucket, so I'm going to need 4 buckets and one of those tesseract frames. So for every tesseract frame and 4 ender pearls, I'm actually going to need one of those unattuned tesseracts to begin with, because it's a unique recipe, so I'm going to need one of them. And actually, let's give you an example. If I place the tesseract frame here, it pushes into the system, and this filter allows it to go into here. And if I place ender pearls here, this filter doesn't allow them in, and they only go into here, and then this magma crucible starts cooking them. So this is the entire logic here. So one item interface, one ME interface interacts with both machines, and the filters make sure that the items go into respective places. So I'm going to need one of those unattuned tesseracts to begin with to actually create the custom recipe. So let's give it some time. Okay, so there we go, it's finished. I'm going to need one more of those tesseract frames, again as a reference, to create the recipe. So get one of those. And create a custom recipe which says if you give me one of those and 4 of those, I'll give you an unattuned tesseract. Create a recipe and place it in the interface. And that's pretty much all the complicated part in creating those tesseracts. A little bit unconventional, I must say. It's not so easy. Let's just make sure this import bus is always on, stack at a time. Let's make sure that everything is connected. So this here, this here. Actually, this one is redundant. And just connect it somewhere to the rest of the network. So now I can create unattuned tesseracts, meaning I can now create tesseracts basically with the respective recipes. So we can actually see that if I place tesseract, I can now create unattuned ones. Let's just go ahead and do one. It's relatively a long process because it still requires burning 4 ender pearls, and also the process of transposing all that liquid into the tesseract frame also takes quite some time. So it's not instant, but it's still fully automated. So that's something. If I really want to, I could make a self-resupply system that will always keep, let's say, 4 of those unattuned tesseracts available at all times, just to make sure that whenever I need a tesseract, it's available to me. I'm probably going to do that actually, but that's pretty much it. This now has unattuned tesseracts fully autocrafted. So let's complete this small project by actually adding the rest of the tesseracts recipes. So all 3 tesseract recipes, which are energy, liquid, and item. Energy requires electrum ingots. This is actually something that I did not take care of. Can smelt electrum blends, which requires, okay, this is actually a little bit different. I think the best recipe will be induction smelting gold and silver. Yep, let's add a custom recipe for that. That will be the easiest way to go. So I do have some electrum ingots, spare ones. I will need some gold and some silver. Gold, and silver. And I will need, okay, that's pretty much it. So 1 gold, 1 silver gives me 2 electrum ingots in a custom recipe, and add that to the induction smelter. Now the fact that I have 2 separate recipes on the same induction smelter kind of worries me. It has the potential of breaking, especially if I add some self-resupplying system. It has the potential to break. It's not going to break like on purpose, but it has the potential of breaking. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that and maybe change that. But for the time being, let's keep it like this. So for the energy tesseract, I'm going to electrum ingots, silver, lead, and redstone conductance coil, which is electrum and redstone. So let's get some redstone. Let's get some lead. And what else? You know what? I'm gonna quickly do this off screen. This is kind of boring. Okay, so just about to finish adding the last recipe, the actual item one, the item tesseract recipe. And with that said, I've actually completely integrated Autocrafting Tesseracts. So you can see I just quickly added the redstone conductance coil, the pneumatic servo, and then the 3 different Tesseracts. And I actually now, I did have some spare ones, some spare of those materials, so probably will have some nice access to some of them. Yeah, I have an access to 5 energy Tesseracts, but I can craft the other ones. And so let's just go ahead and create 4 of them. It's quickly going to use the existing materials that I have and going to start crafting them. But the rest, of which I don't have the materials for, it's going to start cooking and smelting and crucibling and whatever you want to name it. The process of crafting all of that goodness and eventually give me my atom tesseracts. Alright, so kind of a log project, a little bit unconventional because when talking about the plan logistics, mainly because it's the first time I kind of have to separate the outputs of a custom recipe using those filters, although it's actually very simple, so there is nothing too much to it. Probably gonna change it or add some stuff to it a little bit more in the next episode. But overall, this is the last part which I pretty much needed before starting to mine with my new crafted Galgadoran drill cart, which will probably be used in the next episode, hopefully. So yeah, so as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.